Introduction to the Complete Poems of Anne Brontë. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Introduction by Charlotte Brontë. In looking over my sister Anne's papers, I find mournful evidence that religious feeling had been for her but too much like what it was to Cowper. I mean, of course, in a far milder form. Without rendering her a prey to those horrors that defy concealment, it subdued her mood and bearing to a perpetual pensiveness. The pillar of a cloud glided constantly before her eyes. She ever waited at the foot of a secret Sinai, listening in her heart to the voice of a trumpet, sounding long and waxing louder. Some, perhaps, would rejoice over these tokens of sincere though sorrowing piety in a deceased relative. I own, to me they seem sad, as if her whole innocent life had been passed under the martyrdom of an unconfessed physical pain. Their effect, indeed, would be too distressing, were it not combated by the certain knowledge that in her last moments this tyranny of a too tender conscience was overcome. This pomp of terrors broke up, and, passing away, left her dying hour unclouded. Her belief in God did not then bring to her dread, as of a stern judge, but hope as in a Creator and Saviour. And no faltering hope was it, but a sure and steadfast conviction, on which, in the rude passage from time to eternity, she threw the weight of her human weakness, and by which she was enabled to bear what was to be borne, patiently, serenely, victoriously. End of introduction. Read by Alan Mapstone. The Captain's Dream by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. Methought I saw him, but I knew him not. He was so changed from what he used to be. There was no redness in his woe-worn cheeks, no sunny smile upon his ashy lips. His hollow wandering eyes looked wild and fierce, and grief was printed on his marble brow. And oh, I thought he clasped his wasted hands, and raised his haggard eyes to heaven, and prayed that he might die. I had no power to speak. I thought I was allowed to see him thus, and yet I might not speak one single word. I might not even tell him that I lived, and that it might be possible, if search were made, to find out where I was and set me free. Oh, how I long to clasp him to my heart, or but to hold his trembling hand in mine, and speak one word of comfort to his mind. I struggled wildly, but it was in vain. I could not rise from my dark dungeon floor, and the dear name I vainly strove to speak died in a voiceless whisper on my tongue. Then I awoke, and lo, it was a dream. A dream? Alas, it was reality. For well I know, wherever he may be, he mourns me thus. O heaven, I could bear my deadly fate with calmness if there were no kindred hearts to bleed and break for me. Alexandrina Zenobia, Anne Brontë, Written January 24th, 1838. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The North Wind by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. That wind is from the north, I know it well. No other breeze could have so wild a swell. Now deep and loud it thunders round my cell, then faintly dies, and softly sighs, and moans and murmurs mournfully. I know its language, thus it speaks to me. I have passed over thy own mountains dear, thy northern mountains, and they still are free. Still lonely, wild, majestic, bleak and drear, and stern and lovely as they used to be, when thou, a young enthusiast, as wild and free as they, o'er rocks and glens and snowy heights, didst often love to stray. I've blown the pure untrodden snows in whirling eddies from their brows, and I have howled in caverns wild, where thou, a joyous mountain child, didst dearly love to be. The sweet world is not changed, but thou art pining in a dungeon now, where thou must ever be. No voice but mine can reach thy ear, and heaven has kindly sent me here to mourn and sigh with thee, and tell thee of the cherished land of thy nativity. Blow on, wild wind, thy solemn voice, however sad and drear, is nothing to the gloomy silence I have had to bear. Hot tears are streaming from my eyes, but these are better far than that dull gnawing tearless time, the stupor of despair. Confined and hopeless as I am, oh, speak of liberty. Oh, tell me of my mountain home, and I will welcome thee. Alexandrina Zenobia, Anne Brontë, January 26, 1838. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Parting by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by MorphineLolly. The chestnut steed stood by the gate, his noble master's will to wait. The wooded park, so green and bright, was glowing in the morning light. The young leaves of aspen trees were dancing in the morning breeze. The palace door was open wide, the lord was standing there, and his sweet lady by his side, with soft dark eyes and raven hair. He smiling took her ivory hand, and said, "No longer here I stand. My charger shakes his flowing mane, and calls me with impatient neigh. Adieu then, till we meet again, sweet love, I must no longer stay." "You must not go so soon," she said, "I will not say farewell. The sun has not dispelled the shade in yonder dewy dell. Dark shadows of gigantic length are sleeping on the lawn, and scarcely have the birds begun to hail the summer morn. Then stay with me a little while," she said with soft and sunny smile. He smiled again and did not speak, but lightly kissed her rosy cheek, and fondly clasped her in his arms, then vaulted on his steed. And down the park's smooth winding road he urged his flying speed. Still by the door his lady stood, and watched his rapid flight, until he reached the distant wood that hid him from her sight. But ere he vanished from her view, he waved to her a last adieu. Then onward hastily he steered, and in the forest disappeared. The lady smiled a pensive smile, and heaved a gentle sigh, but her cheek was unbleached all the while, and tearless was her eye. "1,000 lovely flowers," she said, "are smiling on the plain, and ere one half of them are dead, my lord will come again. The leaves are waving fresh and green on every stately tree, and long before they die away he will return to me. Alas, fair lady, say not so, thou canst not tell the weight of woe that lies in store for thee. Those flowers will fade, those leaves will fall, winter will darken yonder hall, sweet spring will smile on air, hill, and plain, and trees and flowers will bloom again, and years will still keep rolling on, but thy beloved Lord is gone. His absence thou shalt deeply mourn, and never smile on his return. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Parting by Anne Brontë, read for LibriVox.org by MorphineLolly. The lady of Abierno's hall is waiting on her lord. The blackbird's song, the cuckoo's call, no joy to her afford. She smiles not at the summer's sun, nor at the winter's blast. She mourns that she is still alone, though 3 long years have passed. I knew her when her eyes were bright, I knew her when her step was light, and blithesome as the mountain does, and when her cheeks were like the rose, and when her voice was full and free, and when her smile was sweet to see. But now the luster of her eye is dim with many a tear. Her footsteps of elasticity is timed with grief and fear. The rose has left her hollow cheeks. In a low and mournful tone she speaks, and when she smiles 'tis but a gleam of sunshine on a winter's day. That faintly beams through dreary clouds, and in a moment fades away. It does not warm, it does not cheer, it makes us sigh for summer days, when fields were green and skies were clear, and when the sun has kinder rays. For 3 years she has waited there, still hoping for her Lord's return. But vainly she may hope and fear, and vainly watch, weep, and mourn. She may wait for him till her hairs are gray, she may wear her life away, but to his lady and his home her Lord will never come. I wish I knew the words she said, I wish I could despair. These fruitless hopes, this constant dread, are more than I can bear. Then do not hope, and do not weep, he loved thee faithfully, and nothing short of death could keep so true a heart from me. Else that he would never go, and leave thee thus to mourn. He must be dead, for death alone could hinder his return. 'Twas thus I spoke, because I felt as if my heart would break, to see her thus so slowly pine for Abierno's sake. But more than that I would not tell, though all the while I knew so well the time and nature of his death, for when he drew his parting breath, his head was pillowed on my knee, and his dark eyes were turned to me with an agonized heartbreaking glance until he saw me not. Oh, the look of that dying young man can never be forgot. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Verses to a Child by Anne Brontë, read for LibriVox.org by Agnes Robert Behr. Oh, raise those eyes to me again, and smile again so joyously, and fear not, love, it was not pain, nor grief that drew those tears from me. Beloved child, thou canst not tell the thoughts that in my bosom swell, whene'er I look on thee. Thou knowest not that a glance of thine can bring back long departed years, and that thy blue eyes' magic shine can overflow my own with tears, and that each feature, soft and fair, and every curl of thy golden hair, some sweet remembrance bears. Just then thou didst recall to me a distant, long-forgotten scene. One smile and one sweet word from thee dispelled the years that rolled between. I was a little child again, and every after joy and pain seemed never to have been. Tall forest trees waved over me to hide me from the heat of day, and by my side a child like thee among the summer flowers lay. He was thy own, thou merry child. Like thee he spoke, like thee he smiled, like thee he used to play. Oh, those were calm and happy days. We loved each other fondly then, but human love too soon decays, and ours can never bloom again. I never thought to see the day when Florian's friendship would decay, like that of colder men. Now, Flora, thou hast but begun to sail on life's deceitful sea. Oh, do not err as I have done, for I have trusted foolishly the faith of every friend I loved. I never doubted till I proved their hearts in constancy. 'Tis mournful to look back upon those long-departed joys and cares, and I will weep since thou alone art witness to my streaming tears. This lingering love will not depart. I cannot banish from my heart the friend of childhood's years. But though thy father loves me not, yet shall I still be loved by thee, and though I am by him forgot, say wilt not thou remember me? I will not cause thy heart to ache, for thy regretted father's sake. I'll love and cherish thee. Alexandrina Zenobia, Anne Brontë, August 21st, 1838. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Self-Congratulation by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by David George Kennedy. Ellen, you were thoughtless once of beauty or of grace, simple and homely in attire, careless of form and face. Then whence this change? And wherefore now so often smooth your hair? And wherefore deck your youthful form with such unwearied care? Tell us, and cease to tire our ears with that familiar strain. Why will you play those simple tunes so often o'er again? Indeed, dear friends, I can but say that childhood's thoughts are gone, and each year its new feelings brings, and years move swiftly on. And for these little simple airs, I love to play them o'er, so much I dare not promise now to play them nevermore. I answered, and it was enough. They turned them to depart. They could not read my secret thoughts, nor see my throbbing heart. I've noticed many a youthful form upon whose changeful face the inmost workings of the soul the gazer well might trace, the speaking eye, the changing lip, the ready blushing cheek, the smiling or beclouded brow, their different feelings speak. But thank God you might gaze on mine for hours and never know the secret changes of my soul from joy to keenest woe. Last night as we sat round the fire, conversing merrily, we heard without approaching steps of one well known to me. There was no trembling in my voice, no blush upon my cheek, no lustrous sparkle in my eyes of hope or joy to speak. But oh, my spirit burned within, my heart beat full and fast. He came not nigh, he went away, and then my joy was past. And yet my comrades marked it not. My voice was still the same. They saw me smile, and o'er my face no signs of sadness came. They little knew my hidden thoughts, and they will never know the aching anguish of my heart, the bitter burning woe. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Bluebell by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by David George Kennedy. A fine and subtle spirit dwells in every little flower. Each one its own sweet feeling breathes, with more or less of power. There is a silent eloquence in every wild bluebell, that fills my softened heart with bliss that words could never tell. Yet I recall not long ago a bright and sunny day. 'Twas when I led a toilsome life, so many leagues away. That day along a sunny road all carelessly I strayed, between two banks where smiling flowers their varied hues displayed. Before me rose a lofty hill, behind me lay the sea. My heart was not so heavy then as it was wont to be. Less harassed than at other times, I saw the scene was fair, and spoke and laughed to those around as if I knew no care. But when I looked upon the bank, my wandering glances fell upon a little trembling flower, a single sweet bluebell. Whence came that rising in my throat, that dimness in my eye? Why did those burning drops distill, those bitter feelings rise? Oh, that lone flower recalled to me my happy childhood's hours, when bluebells seemed like fairy gifts, a prize among the flowers. Those sunny days of merriment, when heart and soul were free, and when I dwelt with kindred hearts, that loved and cared for me. I had not then mid heartless crowds to spend a thankless life, in seeking after others' weal, with anxious toil and strife. Sad wanderer, weep those blissful times that never may return, the lovely floweret seemed to say, and thus it made me mourn. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
An Orphan's Lament by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Tania Mannion. She's gone, and twice the summer's sun has gilt Regina's towers, and melted wild Angora's snows, and warmed Epina's bowers. The flowerets twice on hill and dale have bloomed and died away, and twice the rustling forest leaves have fallen to decay. And thrice stern winter's icy hand has checked the river's flow, and 3 times o'er the mountains thrown his spotless robe of snow. 2 summers, springs, and autumns sad, 3 winters cold and gray. And is it then so long ago, that wild November day? They say such tears as children weep will soon be dried away, that childhood's grief, however strong, is only for a day. And parted friends, how dear soe'er, will soon forgotten be. It may be so with other hearts, it is not so with me. My mother, thou wilt weep no more, for thou art gone above, but can I ever cease to mourn thy fond and fervent love? While that was mine, the world to me was sunshine bright and fair. No feeling rose within my heart, but thou couldst read it there. And thou couldst feel for all my joys and all my childish cares, and never weary of my play or scorn my foolish fears. Beneath thy sweet maternal smile all pain and sorrow fled, and even the very tears were sweet upon thy bosom shed. Thy loss can never be repaired. I shall not know again, while life remains, the peaceful joy that filled my spirit then. Where shall I find a heart like thine while life remains to me? And where shall I bestow the love I ever bore for thee? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Lines written at Thorp Green by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Tania Mannion. That summer sun, whose genial glow now cheers my drooping spirit so, must cold and silent be, and only light our northern clime with feeble ray before the time I long so much to see. And this soft whispering breeze, that now so gently cools my fevered brow, this too, alas, must turn to a wild blast, whose icy dart pierces and chills me to the heart, before I cease to mourn. And these bright flowers I love so well, verbena, rose, and sweet bluebell, must droop and die away. Those thick green leaves with all their shade and rustling music, they must fade, and every one decay. But if the sunny summertime and woods and meadows in their prime are sweet to them that roam, far sweeter is the winter Behr, with long, dark nights and landscape drear, to them that are at home. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Appeal by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Anthony Will. Oh, I am very weary, though tears no longer flow. My eyes are tired of weeping, my heart is sick of woe. My life is very lonely, my days pass heavily. I'm weary of repining. Wilt thou not come to me? Oh, didst thou know my longings for thee from day to day, my hopes so often blighted, thou wouldst not thus delay. Anne Brontë, August 28, 1841. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Despondency by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. I have gone backward in the work, the labor has not sped. Drowsy and dark my spirit lies, heavy and dull as lead. How can I rouse my sinking soul from such a lethargy? How can I break these iron chains and set my spirit free? There have been times when I have mourned in anguish o'er the past, and raised my suppliant hands on high, while tears fell thick and fast, and prayed to have my sins forgiven with such a fervent zeal, an earnest grief, a strong desire, as now I cannot feel, and vowed to trample on my sins, and called on heaven to aid my spirit in her firm resolves, and hear the vows I made. And I have felt so full of love, so strong in spirit then, as if my heart would never cool, or wander back again. And yet, alas, how many times my feet have gone astray, how oft have I forgot my God, how greatly fallen away. My sins increase, my love grows cold, and hope within me dies. Even faith itself is wavering now. Oh, how shall I arise? I cannot weep, but I can pray. Then let me not despair. Lord Jesus, save me, lest I die. Christ, hear my humble prayer. December 20th, 1841. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To Cowper by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. Sweet are thy strains, celestial bard, and oft in childhood years I've read them o'er and o'er again with floods of silent tears. The language of my inmost heart I traced in every line. My sins, my sorrows, hopes and fears were there and only mine. All for myself the sigh would swell, the tear of anguish start. I little knew what wilder woe had filled the poet's heart. I did not know the nights of gloom, the days of misery, the long, long years of dark despair that crushed and tortured thee. But they are gone, from earth at length thy gentle soul is past, and in the bosom of its God has found its home at last. It must be so, if God is love, and answers fervent prayer. Then surely thou shalt dwell on high, and I may meet thee there. Is he the source of every good, the spring of purity? Then in thine hours of deepest woe, thy God was still with thee. How else, when every hope was fled, couldst thou so fondly cling to holy things and holy men? And how so sweetly sing of things that God alone could teach? And whence that purity, that hatred of all sinful ways, that gentle charity? Are these the symptoms of a heart of heavenly grace bereft, forever banished from its God, to Satan's fury left? Yet should thy darkest fears be true, if heaven be so severe, that such a soul as thine is lost, oh, how shall I appear? Anne Brontë, November 10th, 1842. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
In Memory of a Happy Day in February by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by AnneGowan. Blessed be thou for all the joy my soul has felt today. Oh, let its memory stay with me and never pass away. I was alone, for those I loved were far away from me. The sun shone on the withered grass, the wind blew fresh and free. Was it the smile of early spring that made my bosom glow? 'Twas sweet, but neither sun nor wind could raise my spirit so. Was it some feeling of delight, all vague and undefined? No, 'twas a rapture deep and strong, expanding in my mind. Was it a sanguine view of life and all its transient bliss? A hope of bright prosperity? Oh no, it was not this. It was a glimpse of truth divine, unto my spirit given, illumined by a ray of light that shone direct from heaven. I felt there was a God on high, by whom all things were made. I saw his wisdom and his power, in all his works displayed. But most throughout the moral world I saw his glory shine. I saw his wisdom infinite, his mercy all divine. Deep secrets of his providence, in darkness long concealed, unto the vision of my soul were graciously revealed. But while I wondered and adored his majesty divine, I did not tremble at his power. I felt that God was mine. I knew that my Redeemer lived. I did not fear to die. I felt that I should rise again to immortality. I longed to view that bliss divine which eye hath never seen. Like Moses, I would see his face without the veil between. Begun in February, finished November 10, 1842. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Lines Composed in a Wood on a Windy Day by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Belinda McReynolds. My soul is awakened, my spirit is soaring, and carried aloft on the wings of the breeze. For above and around me the wild wind is roaring, arousing to rapture the earth and the seas. The long withered grass in the sunshine is glancing, the bare trees are tossing their branches on high. The dead leaves beneath them are merrily dancing, the white clouds are scudding across the blue sky. I wish I could see how the ocean is lashing, the foam of its billows to whirlwinds of spray. I wish I could see how its proud waves are dashing, and hear the wild roar of their thunder today. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Word to the Elect by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. You may rejoice to think yourselves secure. You may be grateful for the gift divine, that grace unsought which made your black hearts pure, and fits your earth-born souls in heaven to shine. But is it sweet to look around and view thousands excluded from that happiness which they deserve at least as much as you, their faults not greater, nor their virtues less? And wherefore should you love your God the more? Because you alone his smiles are given, because he chose to pass the many o'er, and only bring the favored few to heaven. And wherefore should your hearts more grateful prove, because for all the Saviour did not die? Is yours the God of justice and of love, and are your bosoms warm with charity? Say, does your heart expand to all mankind? And would you ever to your neighbor do, the weak, the strong, the enlightened, and the blind, as you would have your neighbor do to you? And when you, looking on your fellow men, behold them doomed to endless misery, how can you talk of joy and rapture then? May God withhold such cruel joy from me. That none deserve eternal bliss I know, unmerited the grace and mercy given, but none shall sink to everlasting woe that have not well deserved the wrath of heaven. And oh, there lives within my heart a hope long nursed by me, and should its cheering ray depart, how dark my soul would be! That as in Adam all have died, in Christ shall all men live, and ever round his throne abide, eternal praise to give. That even the wicked shall at last be fitted for the skies, and when their dreadful doom is past, to life and light arise. I ask not how remote the day, nor what the sinner's woe before their dross is purged away. Enough for me to know that when the cup of wrath is drained, the metal purified, they'll cling to what they once disdained, and live by him that died. May 28th, 1843. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Doubter's Prayer by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Chocolate Yoddah. Eternal power of earth and air, unseen yet seen in all around, remote but dwelling everywhere, though silent, heard in every sound. If e'er thine ear in mercy bent, when wretched mortals cried to thee, and if indeed thy Son was sent to save lost sinners such as me, then hear me now, while kneeling here, I lift to thee my heart and eye, and all my soul ascends in prayer. Oh, give me faith, I cry. Without some glimmering in my heart, I could not raise this fervent prayer, but oh, a stronger light impart, and in thy mercy fix it there. While faith is with me, I am blessed. It turns my darkest night to day. But while I clasp it to my breast, I often feel it slide away. Then cold and dark my spirit sinks, to see my light of life depart, and every fiend of hell, methinks, enjoys the anguish of my heart. What shall I do, if all my love, my hopes, my toil, are cast away? And if there be no God above, to hear and bless me when I pray? If this be vain delusion all, if death be an eternal sleep, and none can hear my secret call, or see the silent tears I weep, oh, help me, God, for thou alone canst my distracted soul relieve. Forsake it not, it is thine own, though weak yet longing to believe. Oh, drive these cruel doubts away, and make me know that thou art God. A faith that shines by night and day will lighten every earthly load. If I believe that Jesus died, and waking rose to reign above, then surely sorrow, sin, and pride must yield to peace and hope and love. And all the blessed words he said will strength and holy joy impart, a shield of safety o'er my head, a spring of comfort in my heart. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Captive Dove by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Agnes Robert Behr. Poor restless dove, I pity thee, and when I hear thy plaintive moan, I mourn for thy captivity, and in thy woes forget mine own. To see thee stand prepared to fly, and flap those useless wings of thine, and gaze into the distant sky, would melt a harder heart than mine. In vain, thou canst not rise. Thy prison roof confines thee there. Its slender wires delude thine eyes, and quench thy longings with despair. O thou wert made to wander free, in sunny mead and shady grove, and far beyond the rolling sea, in distant climes at will to rove. Yet hadst thou but one gentle mate, my little drooping heart to cheer, and share with thee thy captive state, thou couldst be happy, even there. Yes, even there, if listening by, one faithful dear companion stood, while gazing on her full bright eye, thou mightst forget thy native wood. But thou, poor solitary dove, must make unheard thy joyless moan. The heart that nature formed to love must pine, neglected, and alone. A. Brontë, October 31st, 1843. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Consolation by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Emma. Though bleak these woods and damp the ground, with fallen leaves so thickly strown, and cold the wind that wanders round, with wild and melancholy moan, there is a friendly roof I know, might shield me from the wintry blast. There is a fire whose ruddy glow will cheer me for my wanderings past. And so, though still, where'er I go, cold stranger glances meet my eye, though when my spirit sinks in woe, unheeded swells the unbidden sigh. Though solitude endured too long bids youthful joys too soon decay, makes mirth a stranger to my tongue, and o'er the clouds my noon of day, when kindly thoughts that would have way flow back discouraged to my breast, I know there is, though far away, a home where heart and soul may rest. Warm hands are there that clasped in mine the warmer heart will not belie, while mirth and truth and friendship shine in smiling lip and earnest eye. The ice that gathers round my heart may there be thawed, and sweetly then the joys of youth that now depart will come to cheer my soul again. Though far I roam, that thought shall be my hope, my comfort everywhere. While such a home remains to me, my heart shall never know despair. Anne Brontë, November 7th, 1848. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Past Days by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org. 'Tis strange to think there was a time when mirth was not an empty name, when laughter really cheered the heart, and frequent smiles unbidden came, and tears of grief would only flow in sympathy for others' woe. One speech expressed the inward thought, and heart to kindred heart was bare, and summer days were far too short for all the pleasures crowded there, and silence, solitude, and rest, now welcome to the weary breast, were all unprized, uncourted then, and all the joy one spirit showed, the other deeply felt again, and friendship like a river flowed, constant and strong its silent course, for naught withstood its gentle force. One night, the holy time of peace was dreaded as the parting hour, when speech and mirth at once must cease, and silence must resume her power. Though ever free from pains and woes, she only brought us calm repose. And when the blessed dawn again brought daylight to the blushing skies, we woke, and not reluctant then, to joyless labor did we rise, but full of hope, and glad and gay, we welcomed the returning day. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Student's Serenade by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Emma. I have slept upon my couch, but my spirit did not rest. For the labours of the day, yet my weary soul oppressed. And before my dreaming eyes still the learned volumes lay, and I could not close their leaves, and I could not turn away. While the grim preceptors laughed, and exulted in my woe, till I felt my tingling frame with the fire of anger glow. But I oped my eyes at last, and I heard a muffled sound. 'Twas the night breeze come to say that the snow was on the ground. Then I knew that there was rest on the mountain's bosom free. So I left my fevered couch, and I flew to waken thee. I have flown to waken thee, for if thou wilt not arise, then my soul can drink no peace from these holy moonlit skies. And this waste of virgin snow to my sight will not be fair, unless thou wilt smiling come, love, to wander with me there. Then awake, Maria, wake, for if thou couldst only know how the quiet moonlight sleeps on this wilderness of snow, and the groves of ancient trees in their snowy garb arrayed, till they stretch into the gloom of the distant valley's shade. Oh, I know thou wouldst rejoice to inhale this bracing air. Thou wouldst break thy sweetest sleep to behold a scene so fair. O'er these wintry wilds alone thou wouldst joy to wander free, and it will not please thee less, though that bliss be shared with me. Anne Brontë, February 1844. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Reminiscence by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Agnes Robert Behr. Yes, thou art gone, and nevermore thy sunny smile shall gladden me. But I may pass the old church door, and pace the floor that covers thee, may stand upon the cold damp stone, and think that frozen lies below the lightest heart that I have known, the kindest I shall ever know. Yet though I cannot see thee more, 'tis still a comfort to have seen, and though thy transient life is o'er, 'tis sweet to think that thou hast been. To think a soul so near divine, within a form so angel fair, united to a heart like thine, has gladdened once our humble sphere. April 1844. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Memory by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by our Mapstone. Brightly the sun of summer shone, green fields and waving woods upon, and soft winds wandered by. Above, a sky of purest blue, around bright flowers of loveliest hue, allured the gazer's eye. But what were all these charms to me, when one sweet breath of memory came gently wafting by? I closed my eyes against the day, and called my willing soul away from earth and air and sky, that I might simply fancy there one little flower, a primrose fair, just opening into sight. As in the days of infancy, an opening primrose seemed to me a source of strange delight. Sweet memory, ever smile on me. Nature's chief beauties spring from thee. Oh, still thy tribute bring. Still make the golden crocus shine among the flowers the most divine, the glory of the spring. Still in the wallflower's fragrance dwell, and hover round the slight bluebell, my childhood's darling flower. Smile on the little daisy still, the buttercup's bright goblet fill with all thy former power. For ever hang thy dreamy spell round mountain star and heather bell, and do not pass away from sparkling frost or wreathed snow, and whisper when the wild winds blow, or rippling waters play. Is childhood then so all divine? Or memory is the glory thine, that halos thus the past? Not all divine, its pangs of grief, although perchance their stay be brief, are bitter while they last. Nor is the glory all thine own, for on our earliest joys alone that holy light is cast. With such a ray no spell of thine can make our later pleasures shine, though long ago they passed. Anne Brontë, May 19, 1844. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Fluctuations by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Agnes Robert Behr. What though the sun has left my sky to save me from despair? The blessed moon arose on high and shone serenely there. I watched her with a tearful gaze rise slowly o'er the hill, while through the dim horizon's haze her light gleamed faint and chill. I thought such wan and lifeless beams could ne'er my heart repay for the bright sun's most transient gleams that shared me through the day. But as above that mist's control she rose and brighter shone, I felt her light upon my soul. But now that light is gone. Thick vapours snatched her from my sight, and I was darkling left, all in the cold and gloomy night, of light and hope bereft, until methought a little star shone forth with trembling ray, to cheer me with its light afar, but that too passed away. Anon an earthly meteor blazed the gloomy darkness through. I smiled, yet trembled while I gazed, but that soon vanished too. And darker, drearier fell the night upon my spirit then. But what is that faint struggling light? Is it the moon again? Kind heaven, increase that silvery gleam, and bid these clouds depart, and let her soft celestial beam restore my fainting heart. Anne Brontë, August 2nd, 1844. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Prayer by Anne Brontë, read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. My God, oh let me call thee mine, weak, wretched sinner though I be. My trembling soul would fain be thine, my feeble faith still clings to thee. Not only for the past I grieve, the future fills me with dismay. Unless thou hasten to relieve, thy suppliant is a castaway. I cannot say my faith is strong, I dare not hope my love is great, but strength and love to thee belong. Oh, do not leave me desolate. I know I owe my all to thee. Oh, take the heart I cannot give. Do thou my strength, my Saviour be, and make me to thy glory live. October 13th, 1844. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Dungeon by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. Though not a breath can enter here, I know the wind blows fresh and free. I know the sun is shining clear, though not a gleam can visit me. They thought while I in darkness lay, 'twere pity that I should not know how all the earth is smiling gay, how fresh the vernal breezes blow. They knew such tidings to impart would pierce my weary spirit through, and could they better read my heart, they'd tell me she was smiling too. They need not, for I know it well. Methinks I see her even now. No sigh disturbs her bosom's swell, no shade o'ercasts her angel brow. Unmarred by grief her matchless voice, whence sparkling wit and wisdom flow, and others in its sound rejoice, and taste the joys I must not know. Drink rapture from her soft dark eye, and sunshine from her heavenly smile. On wings of bliss their moments fly, and I am pining here the while. Oh, tell me, does she never give to my distress a single sigh? She smiles on them, but does she grieve one moment when they are not by? When she beholds the sunny skies, and feels the wind of heaven blow, has she no tear for him that lies in dungeon gloom so far below? While others gladly round her press, and at her side their hours beguile, has she no sigh for his distress, who cannot see a single smile, nor hear one word, nor read a line that her beloved hand might write, who banished from her face must pine each day along a lonely night? December 16, 1844. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Home by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Anthony Will. How brightly glistening in the sun the woodland ivy plays, while yonder beeches from their barks reflect his silver rays. That sun surveys a lovely scene from softly smiling skies, and wildly through unnumbered trees the wind of winter sighs. Now loud it thunders o'er my head, and now in distance dies. But give me back my barren hills, where colder breezes rise, where scarce the scattered stunted trees can yield an answering swell, but where a wildness of heath returns the sound as well. For yonder garden, fair and wide, with groves of evergreen, long winding walks and borders trim, and velvet lawns between. Restore to me that little spot, with grey walls compassed round, where knotted grass neglected lies, and weeds usurp the ground. Though all around this mansion high invites the foot to roam, and through its halls are fair within. Oh, give me back my home. Undated circa 1844. Published in 1846. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Call Me Away by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Anthony Will. Call me away, there's nothing here that wins my soul to stay. Then let me leave this prospect drear and hasten far away. To our beloved land I'll flee, our land of thought and soul, where I have roved so oft with thee, beyond the world's control. I'll sit and watch those ancient trees, those Scotch firs dark and high. I'll listen as the eerie breeze tempts leaf and branch to sigh. The glorious moon shines far above, how soft her radiance falls, on snowy heights, on rock and grove, and yonder palace walls. Who stands beneath yon fir trees high, a youth so slight and fair, but whose keen and restless azure eye proclaims him known to care. Though white that brow it is not smooth, dark lines spread 'neath the hair. Though soft those features, yet in sooth, stern sorrow has been there. Now on the peaceful moon are fixed those eyes so clear and bright, but trembling teardrops hang betwixt, and dim the blessed sight. Though late the hour and keen the blast that whistles round him now, those raven locks are backward cast to cool his burning brow. His hands above his heaving breast are clasped in agony. O Father, Father, let me rest, and call my soul to thee. I know 'tis weakness thus to pray, but all this cankering care, this doubt tormenting night and day, is more than I can bear. With none to comfort, none to guide, and none to strengthen me, since thou my only friend hast died, I've pined to follow thee. Since thou hast died, and did he live, what comfort would his counsel give to one forlorn like me? Would he my idol's form adore, her soul, her glance, her tone, and say, forget for evermore her kindred and thine own? Let dreams of her thy peace destroy, leave every other hope of joy, and live for her alone? He starts, he smiles, and dries the tears, still glistening on his cheek. The lady of his soul appears, and hark, I hear her speak. I dry thy tears, thou wilt not weep, while I am by thy side. Our foes their ceaseless watch may keep, but cannot thus divide. Such hearts as ours and we tonight their malice will deride, and in the pale moon's silver light together will abide. No fear our present bliss shall blast, and sorrow will defy. Do thou forget the dreary past, the dreadful future, I. Forget it? Yes, while thou art by, I think of naught but thee. 'Tis only when thou art not nigh, remembrance tortures me. But such a lofty soul to find, and such a heart as thine, in such a glorious form enshrined, and still to call thee mine, would be for earth too great a bliss. Without a taint of woe like this, then why should I repine? January 24th, 1845. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Night by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Anthony Will. I love the silent hour of night, for blissful dreams may then arise, revealing to my charmed sight what may not bless my waking eyes. And then a voice may meet my ear that death has silenced long ago, and hope and rapture may appear instead of solitude and woe. Cold in the grave for years has lain the form it was my bliss to see, and only dreams can bring again the darling of my heart to me. Written early in 1845. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Dreams by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Mapstone. While on my lonely couch I lie, I seldom feel myself alone, for fancy fills my dreaming eye with scenes and pleasures of its own. Then I may cherish at my breast an infant's form beloved and fair, may smile and soothe it into rest, with all a mother's fondest care. How sweet to feel its helpless form, depending thus on me alone, and while I hold it safe and warm, what bliss to think it is my own. And glances then may meet my eyes, that daylight never showed to me. What raptures in my bosom rise, those earnest looks of love to see. To feel my hand so kindly pressed, to know myself beloved at last, to think my heart has found a rest, my life of solitude is past. But then to wake and find it flown, the dream of happiness destroyed, to find myself unloved alone, what tongue can speak the dreary void? A heart whence warm affections flow, Creator, thou hast given to me, and am I only thus to know how sweet the joys of love would be? Spring 1845. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
If This Be All, by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Agnes Robert Behr. Oh God, if this indeed be all that life can show to me, if on my aching brow may fall no freshening dew from thee, if with no brighter light than this the lamp of hope may glow, and I may only dream of bliss and wake to weary woe, if friendship's solace must decay when other joys are gone, and love must keep so far away, while I go wandering on, wandering and toiling without gain, the slave of others' will, with constant care and frequent pain, despised, forgotten still, grieving to look on vice and sin, yet powerless to quell the silent current from within, the outward torrents swell, while all the good I would impart, the feelings I would share, are driven backward to my heart, and turned to wormwood there. If clouds must ever keep from sight the glories of the sun, and I must suffer winter's blight as summer is begun, if life must be so full of care, then call me soon to thee, or give me strength enough to bear my load of misery. Anne Brontë, May 20th, 1845. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Confidence by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Sophia. Oppressed with sin and woe, a burdened heart I bear, opposed by many a mighty foe, but I will not despair. With this polluted heart, I dare to come to thee, holy and mighty as thou art, for thou wilt pardon me. I feel that I am weak, and prone to every sin, but thou who givest to those who seek, wilt give me strength within. Far as this earth may be from yonder starry skies, remoter still am I from thee, yet thou wilt not despise. I need not fear my foes, I need not yield to care, I need not sink beneath my woes, for thou wilt answer prayer. In my Redeemer's name I give myself to thee, and all unworthy as I am, my God will cherish me. O make me wholly thine, thy love to me impart, and let thy Holy Spirit shine forever on my heart. June 1st, 1845. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Views of Life by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Kishan. When sinks my heart in hopeless gloom, and life can show no joy for me, and I behold a yawning tomb, where bowers and palaces should be. In vain you talk of morbid dreams, in vain you gaily smiling say, that what to me so dreary seems, the healthy mind deems bright and gay. I too have smiled and thought like you, but madly smiled and falsely deemed. Truth led me to the present view, I'm waking now, 'twas then I dreamed. I lately saw a sunset sky, and stood enraptured to behold its varied hues of glorious dye. First fleecy clouds of shining gold, these blushing took a rosy hue, beneath them shone a flood of green, nor less divine the glorious blue that smiled above them and between. I cannot name each lovely shade, I cannot say how bright they shone, but one by one I saw them fade, and what remained when they were gone? Dull clouds remained of sombre hue, and when their borrowed charm was o'er, the azure sky had faded too, that smiled so softly bright before. So, gilded by the glow of youth, our varied life looks fair and gay, and so remains the naked truth when that false light is passed away. Why blame ye, then, my keener sight, that clearly sees a world of woes, through all the haze of a golden light, that flattering falsehood round it throws? When the young mother smiles above, the firstborn darling of her heart, her bosom glows with earnest love, while tears of silent transport start. Fond dreamer, little does she know the anxious toil, the suffering, the blasted hopes, the burning woe, the object of her joy will bring. Her blinded eyes behold not now, when soon or late must be his doom, the anguish that will cloud his brow, the bed of death, the dreary tomb. As little know the youthful pair, in mutual love supremely blest, what weariness and cold despair ere long will seize the aching breast. And even should love and faith remain the greatest blessings life can show, amid adversity and pain, to shine throughout with cheering glow, they do not see how cruel death comes on their loving hearts to part. One feels not now the gasping breath, the rending of the earth-bound heart. The soul's embodies agony, ere she may sink to her repose. The sad survivor cannot see the grave above his darling close, nor how, despairing and alone, he then must wear his life away, and linger feebly toiling on, and fainting sink into decay. O youth may listen patiently, while sad experience tells her tale, but doubt sits smiling in his eye, for ardent hope will still prevail. He hears how feeble pleasure dies, by guilt destroyed and pain and woe. He turns to hope, and she replies, believe it not, it is not so. O heed her not, experience says, for thus she whispered once to me. She told me, in my youthful days, how glorious manhood's prime would be, when in the time of early spring, to chill the winds that o'er me passed, she said, each coming day would bring a fairer heaven, a gentler blast. And when the sun too seldom beamed, the sky, overcast, too darkly frowned, the soaking rain too constant streamed, and mist too dreary gathered round, she told me summer's glorious ray would chase those vapors all away, and scatter glories around. With sweetest music fill the trees, load with rich scent the gentle breeze, and strew with flowers the ground. But when beneath that scorching ray I languished, weary through the day, while birds refused to sing, verdure decayed from field and tree, and panting nature mourned with me the freshness of the spring. Wait but a little while, she said, till summer's burning days are fled, and autumn shall restore, with golden riches of her own, and summer's glories mellow down the freshness you deplore. And long I waited, but in vain, that freshness never came again, though summer passed away. Though autumn's mists hung cold and chill, and drooping nature languished still, and sank into decay, till wintry blasts foreboding blew through leafless trees, and then I knew that hope was all a dream. But thus, fond youth, she cheated me, and she'll prove as false to thee, though sweet her words may seem. Stern prophet, cease thy bodings dire, thou canst not quench the ardent fire that warms the breast of youth. Oh, let it cheer him while it may, and gently, gently die away, chilled by the damps of truth. Tell him that earth is not our rest, its joys are empty, frail at best, and point beyond the sky. But gleams of light may reach us here, and hope the roughest path can cheer. Then do not bid it fly, though hope may promise joys that still unkindly time will never fulfill, or, if they come at all, we never find them unalloyed, hurtful perchance, or soon destroyed. They vanish or they pall. Yet hope itself a brightness throws o'er all our labors and our woes, while dark foreboding care a thousand ills will oft portend that Providence may ne'er intend the trembling heart to bear. Or if they come, it oft appears, our woes are lighter than our fears, and far more bravely borne. Then let us not enhance our doom, but e'en in midnight, blackest gloom, expect the rising morn. Because the road is rough and long, shall we despise the skylark's song that cheers the wanderer's way? Or trample down with reckless feet the smiling flowerets, bright and sweet, because they soon decay? Pass pleasant scenes unnoticed by, because the next is bleak and drear? Or not enjoy a smiling sky, because a tempest may be near? No, while we journey on our way, we'll smile on every lovely thing, and ever as they pass away, to memory and hope will cling. And though that awful river flows before us when the journey's past, perchance of all the pilgrim's woes, most dreadful, shrink not, 'tis the last. Though I see cold, and dark, and deep, beyond its smiles that blessed shore, where none shall suffer, none shall weep, and bliss shall reign for evermore. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Song by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox by valroth. We know where deepest lies the snow, and where the frost winds keenest blow, on every mountain brow. We long have known and learnt to bear the wandering outlaw's toil and care. But where we late were hunted there, our foes are hunted now. We have their princely homes, and they to our wild haunts are chased away, dark woods and desert caves, and we can range from hill to hill and chase our vanquished victors still. Small respite will they find until they slumber in their graves. But I would rather be the hare that, crouching in its sheltered lair, must start at every sound, that forced from cornfields waving wide, is driven to seek the bare hillside, or in the tangled copsewood hide, than be the hunter's hound.
End of poem.
This recording is in the public domain. Song by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox by valroth. Come to the banquet, triumph in your songs, strike up the chords and sing of victory. The oppressed have risen to redress their wrongs. The tyrants are o'erthrown. The land is free. The land is free. Aye, shout it forth once more. Is she not red with her oppressor's gore? We are her champions. Shall we not rejoice? Are not the tyrant's broad domains our own? Then wherefore triumph with a faltering voice, and talk of freedom and a doubtful tone? Have we not longed through life the reign to see, of justice linked with glorious liberty? Shout, you that will, and you that can rejoice, to revel in the riches of your foes. In praise of deadly vengeance lift your voice, gloat o'er your tyrant's blood, your victim's woes. I'd rather listen to the skylark's songs, and think on Gondel's and my father's wrongs. It may be pleasant to recall the death of those beneath whose sheltering roof you lie, but I would rather press the mountain heath, with naught to shield me from the starry sky, and dream of yet untasted victory, a distant hope, and feel that I am free. Oh, happy life, to rove the mountains wild, the waving woods, or ocean's heaving breast, with limbs unfettered, conscience undefiled, and choosing where to wander, where to rest. Hunted, opposed, but ever strong to cope with toils and perils, ever full of hope. Our flower is budding. When that word was heard on desert shore or breezy mountain's brow, wherever said what glorious thoughts it stirred, 'twas budding then, say, has it blossomed now? Is this the end we struggle to obtain? Oh, for the wandering outlaw's life again.
End of poem.
This recording is in the public domain.
Vanitas Vanitatum Omnia Vanitas by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. In all we do and hear and see is restless toil and vanity. While yet the rolling earth abides, men come and go like ocean tides. And ere one generation dies, another in its place shall rise, that, sinking soon into the grave, others succeed like wave on wave. And as they rise they pass away, the sun arises every day, and hastening onward to the west, he nightly sinks but not to rest. Returning to the eastern skies, again to light us he must rise, and still the restless wind comes forth, now blowing keenly from the north, now from the south, the east, the west, for ever changing, ne'er at rest. The fountains gushing from the hills supply the ever-running rills. The thirsty rivers drink their store, and bear it rolling to the shore. But still the ocean craves for more. 'Tis endless labour everywhere. Sound cannot satisfy the ear, light cannot fill the craving eye, nor riches half our wants supply. Pleasure but doubles future pain, and joy brings sorrow in her train. Laughter is mad, and reckless mirth. What does she in this weary earth? Should wealth or fame our life employ, death comes our labour to destroy. To snatch the untasted cup away, for which we toiled so many a day, what then remains for wretched man to use life's comforts while he can? enjoy the blessings heaven bestows, assist his friends, forgive his foes, trust God and keep his statutes still, upright and firm through good and ill. Thankful for all that God has given, fixing his firmest hopes on heaven, knowing that earthly joys decay, but hoping through the darkest day. Anne Brontë, September 4th, 1845. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Stanzas by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Chanda Singleton Griesë. Oh, weep not, love, each tear that springs, and those dear eyes of thine, to me a keener suffering brings than if they flowed from mine. And do not droop, however drear the fate awaiting thee. For my sake combat pain and care, and cherish life for me. I do not fear thy love will fail. Thy faith is true, I know. But, oh, my love, thy strength is frail for such a life of woe. Were it not for this, why well could trace, though banished long from thee, life's rugged path and boldly face the storms that threaten me. Fear not for me, I've steeled my mind, sorrow and strife to greet. Joy with my love I leave behind, care with my friends I meet. A mother's sad reproachful eye, a father's scowling brow. But he may frown, and she may sigh, I will not break my vow. I love my mother, I revere my sire, but fear not me. Believe that death alone can tear this faithful heart from thee. Zerona, A. Brontë, October 1st, 1845. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Penitent by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Kachuk. I mourn with thee, and yet rejoice that thou shouldst sorrow so. With angel choirs I join my voice to bless the sinner's woe. Though friends and kindred turn away, and laugh thy grief to scorn, I hear the great Redeemer say, Blessed are ye that mourn. Hold on thy course, nor deem it strange that earthly cords are riven. Man may lament the wondrous change, but there is joy in heaven. 1845. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Arbor by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by AnneGowan. I'll rest me in this sheltered bower and look upon the clear blue sky that smiles upon me through the trees which stand so thickly clustering by, and view their green and glossy leaves all glistening in the sunshine fair, and list the rustling of their boughs so softly whispering through the air. And while my ear drinks in the sound, my winged soul shall fly away, reviewing long departed years as one mild, beaming autumn day, and soaring on to future scenes, like hills and woods and valleys green, all basking in the summer sun, but distant still and dimly seen. O list, 'tis summer's very breath that gently shakes the rustling trees, but look, the snow is on the ground. How can I think of scenes like these? 'Tis but the frost that clears the air and gives the sky that lovely blue. They're smiling in a winter's sun, those evergreens of somber hue. And winter's chill is on my heart. How can I dream of future bliss? How can my spirit soar away, confined by such a chain as this? Undated 1845. Published in 1846. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Music on Christmas Morning by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Music I love, but never strain could kindle rapture so divine, so grief assuage, so conquer pain, and rouse this pensive heart of mine, as that we hear on Christmas morn upon the wintry breezes borne. Though darkness still her empire keep, and hours must pass ere morning break, from troubled dreams or slumbers deep, that music kindly bids us wake. It calls us with an angel's voice to wake and worship and rejoice, to greet with joy the glorious morn which angels welcomed long ago, when our redeeming Lord was born, to bring the light of heaven below, the powers of darkness to dispel, and rescue earth from death and hell. While listening to that sacred strain, my raptured spirit soars on high. I seem to hear those songs again, resounding through the open sky, that kindled such divine delight in those who watch their flocks by night. With them I celebrate His birth. Glory to God in highest heaven, good will to men, and peace on earth. To us a Saviour King is given. Our God is come to claim His own, and Satan's power is overthrown. A sinless God for sinful men descends to suffer and to bleed. Hell must renounce its empire then. The price is paid, the world is freed, and Satan's self must now confess that Christ has earned a right to bless. Now holy peace may smile from heaven, and heavenly truth from earth shall spring. The captive's galling bonds are riven, for our Redeemer is our King, and He that gave His blood for men will lead us home to God again. Undated, circa 1845. Published in 1846. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
There let thy bleeding branch atone, by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Kachuk. There let thy bleeding branch atone for every torturing tear. Shall my young sins, my sins alone, be everlasting here? Who bade thee keep that carved name, a pledge for memory, as if oblivion ever came to breathe its bliss on me, as if through all the wildering maze of mad hours left behind, I once forgot the early days that thou wouldst call to mind. Undated, circa 1845. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Oh, they have robbed me of the hope, by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Kachuk. Oh, they have robbed me of the hope my spirit held so dear. They will not let me hear that voice my soul delights to hear. They will not let me see that face I so delight to see. And they have taken all thy smiles and all thy love from me. Well, let them seize on all they can. One treasure still is mine, a heart that loves to think on thee, and feels the worth of thine. Undated, circa 1845. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Domestic Peace by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Belinda McReynolds. Why should such gloomy silence reign, and why is all the house so drear, when neither danger, sickness, pain, nor death nor want has entered here? We are as many as we were that other night when all were gay, and full of hope and free from care, yet is there something gone away. The moon without, as pure and calm, is shining as that night she shone, but now to us she brings no balm, for something from our hearts is gone. Something whose absence leaves a void, a cheerless want in every heart. Each feels the bliss of all destroyed, and mourns the change, but each apart. The fire is burning in the grate as redly as it used to burn, but still the hearth is desolate, till mirth and love with peace return. 'Twas peace that flowed from heart to heart, with looks and smiles that spoke of heaven, and gave us language to impart the blissful thoughts itself had given. Domestic peace, best joy of earth, when shall we all thy value learn? White angel, to our sorrowing hearth, return, O graciously return. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Mirth and Mourning by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Ehsan Ahmed. Oh, cast away your sorrow, a while at least be gay. If grief must come tomorrow, at least be glad today. How can you still be sighing when smiles are everywhere? The little birds are flying so blithely through the air. The sunshine glows so brightly over all the blooming earth, and every heart beats lightly, each face is full of mirth. I always feel the deepest gloom when the day most brightly shines. When nature shows the fairest bloom, my spirit most repines. For in the brightest noontide glow, the dungeon's light is dim. Though freshest winds around us blow, no breeze can visit him. If he must sit in twilight gloom, can I enjoy the sight of mountains clad in purple bloom, and rocks in sunshine bright? My heart may well be desolate, these tears may well arise, while prison wall and iron grate oppress his weary eyes. But think of him tomorrow, and join your comrades now. That constant cloud of sorrow ill suits so young a brow. Hark how their merry voices are sounding far and near, while all the world rejoices. Can you sit moping here? When others' hearts most lightly bound, mine feels the most oppressed. When smiling faces greet me round, my sorrow will not rest. I think of him whose faintest smile was sunshine to my heart, whose lightest word could care beguile and blissful thoughts impart. I think how he would bless that sun and love this glorious scene. I think of all that has been done and all that might have been. Those sparkling eyes that blessed me so are dim with weeping now, and blighted hope and burning woe have ploughed that marble brow. What waste of youth, what hopes destroyed, what days of pining care, what weary nights of comfort void art thou condemned to hear? Oh, if my love must suffer so, and wholly for my sake, what marvel that my tears should flow, or that my heart should break. Zerona, Anne Brontë, July 15, 1846. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Weep Not Too Much, My Darling, by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. Weep not too much, my darling, sigh not too oft for me. Say not the face of nature has lost its charms for thee. I have enough of anguish in my own breast alone. Thou canst not ease the burden, love, by adding still thy own. I know the faith and fervour of that true heart of thine, but I would have it hopeful as thou wouldst render mine. At night when I lay waking, more soothing it will be to say she slumbers calmly now than say she weeps for me. When through the prison grating the holy moonbeams shine, and I am wildly longing to see the orb divine, not crossed, deformed, and sullied by those relentless bars that will not show the crescent moon and scarce the twinkling stars. It is my only comfort to think that unto thee the sight is not forbidden, the face of heaven is free. If I could think Zerona is gazing upward now, is gazing with a tearless eye, a calm unruffled brow, that moon upon her spirit sheds sweet celestial balm, the thought like angels whisper my misery would calm. And when at early morning a faint flush comes to me, reflected from those glowing skies, I almost weep to see. Or when I catch the murmur of gently swaying trees, or hear the louder swelling of the soul-inspiring breeze, and pant to feel its freshness upon my burning brow, or sigh to see the twinkling leaf, and watch the waving bough. If from those fruitless yearnings thou wouldst deliver me, say that the charms of nature are lovely still to thee. While I am thus repining, oh, let me but believe these pleasures are not lost to her, and I will cease to grieve. Oh, scorn not nature's bounties, my soul partakes with thee. Drink bliss from all her fountains, drink for thyself and me. Say not my soul is buried in dungeon gloom with thine, but say his heart is here with me, his spirit drinks with mine. A.E. Anne Brontë, July 20, 1846. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Power of Love by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Chocolate Yoddah. Love, indeed thy strength is mighty, thus alone such strife to bear. 3 against 1, and never ceasing, death and madness and despair. 'Tis not my own strength has saved me, health and hope and fortitude, but for love had long since failed me, heart and soul had sunk subdued. Often in my wild impatience I have lost my trust in heaven, and my soul has tossed and struggled like a vessel tempest driven. But the voice of my beloved in my ear has seemed to say, be thou patient if thou lovest me, and the storm has passed away. When outworn with weary thinking, sight and thought were waxing dim, and my mind began to wander, and my brain began to swim. Then those hands outstretched to save me seemed to call me back again. Those dark eyes did so implore me to once more let reason reign, that I could not but remember how his hopes were fixed on me, and with one determined effort rose and shook my spirit free. When hope leaves my weary spirit, and all power to hold it gone, that loved voice so loudly praise me, for my sake keep hoping on, that at once my strength renewing, though despair had crushed me down, I can burst his bonds asunder and defy his deadliest frown. When, from nights of restless tossing, days of gloom and pining care, pain and weakness still increasing seem to whisper, death is near. And I almost bid him welcome, knowing he would bring release. Weary of this restless struggle, longing to repose in peace. Then a glance of fond approval bids such selfish longings flee, and a voice of matchless music murmurs, cherish life for me. Roused to newborn strength and courage, pain and grief I cast away. Health and life I keenly follow, mighty death is held at bay. Yes, my love, I will be patient. Firm and bold my heart shall be. Fear not, though this life is dreary, I can bear it well for thee. Let our foes still rain upon me, cruel wrongs and taunting scorn. 'Tis for thee their hate pursues me, and for thee it shall be borne. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
I Dreamt Last Night by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Sabrina Pyun. I dreamt last night, and in that dream, my boyhood's heart was mine again. These latter years did nothing seem with all their mingled joy and pain, their thousand deeds of good and ill, their hopes which time did not fulfill, their glorious moments of success, their love that closed in bitterness, their hate that grew with growing strength, their darling projects dropped at length, and higher aims that still prevail, for I must perish ere they fail. That crowning object of my life, the end of all my toil and strife, source of my virtues and my crimes, for which I've toiled and striven in vain. But if I fail 1,000 times, still I will toil and strive again. Yet, even if this was then forgot, my present heart and soul were not. All the rough lessons life has taught that are become a part of me, a moment's sleep to nothing brought and made me what I used to be. And I was roaming light and gay upon a breezy summer day, a bold and careless youth. No guilty stain was on my mind, and if not over soft or kind, my heart was full of truth. It was a well-known mountain scene, wild steeps with rugged glens between. I should have thirsted to explore had I not trod them oft before. A younger boy was with me there, his hand upon my shoulder leant. His heart, like mine, was free from care, his breath with sportive toil was spent. For my rough pastimes he would share, and equal dangers love to dare, though seldom I would care to vie in learning's keen pursuit with him. I loved the free and open sky better than books and tutors grim. And we had wandered far that day, o'er that forbidden ground away, ground to our rebel feet how dear, danger and freedom both were there, had climbed the steep and coursed the dale, until his strength began to fail. He bade me pause and breathe awhile, but spoke it with a happy smile. His lips were parted to inhale the breeze that swept the ferny dale, and chased the clouds across the sky, and waved his locks in passing by, and fanned my cheek, so real did seem this strange, untrue, but truth-like dream. And as we stood, I laughed to see his fair young cheek so brightly glow. He turned his sparkling eyes to me with looks no painter's art could show, nor words portray, but earnest mirth, and truthful love I there descried, and while I thought upon his worth, my bosom glowed with joy and pride. I could have kissed his forehead fair, I could have clasped him to my heart, but tenderness with me was rare, and I must take a rougher part. I seized him in my boisterous mirth, I bore him struggling to the earth, and grappling strength for strength we strove, he half in wrath, I all for love. But I gave o'er that strife at length, ashamed of my superior strength, the rather that I marked his eye kindle as if a change were nigh. We paused to breathe a little space, reclining on the heather brae, but still I gazed upon his face to watch the shadow pass away. I grasped his hand, and it had fled, a smile, a laugh, and all was well. Upon my breast he leant his head, and graver talk we fell, more serious, yet so blessed did seem that calm communion then, that, when I found it but a dream, I longed to sleep again. At first remembrance slowly woke, surprise, regret, successive rose, that love's strong cords should thus be broke, and dearest friends turn deadliest foes. Then, like a cold o'erwhelming flood, upon my soul it burst. This heart had thirsted for his blood, this hand allayed that thirst. These eyes had watched without a tear his dying agony, these ears unmoved had heard his prayer, this tongue had cursed him suffering there, and mocked him bitterly. Unwonted weakness o'er me crept, I sighed, nay weaker still, I wept like a woman o'er the deed I had been proud to do. As I had made his bosom bleed, my own was bleeding too. Back, foolish tears! The man I slew was not the boy I cherished so, and that young arm that clasped the friend was not the same that stabbed the foe. By time and adverse thoughts estranged, and wrongs and vengeance both were changed. Repentance now were worse than vain. Time's current cannot backward run, and be the action wrong or right, it is forever done. Then reap the fruits. I've said his death should be my country's gain. If not, then I have spent my breath and spilt his blood in vain. And I have labored hard and long, but little good obtained. My foes are many yet, and strong, not half the battles gained. For still, the greater deeds I've done, the more I have to do. The faster I can journey on, the farther I must go. If fortune favored for a while, I could not rest beneath her smile, nor triumph in success. When I have gained one river's shore, a wilder torrent, stretched before, defies me with its deafening roar, and onward I must press. And much I doubt this work of strife, and blood and death begun, will call for many a victim more before the cause is won. Well, my own life I'd freely give, ere I would fail in my design. The cause must prosper if I live, and I will die if it decline. Advance thus far I'll not recede, whether to vanquish or to bleed. Onward, unchecked, I must proceed, be death or victory mine. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Lover by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Gloomily the clouds are sailing o'er the dimly moonlit sky. Dolefully the wind is wailing, not another sound is nigh. Only I can hear it sweeping, heath-clad hill and woodland dale, and at times the night's sad weeping sounds above its dying wail. Now the struggling moonbeams glimmer, now the shadows deeper fall, till the dim light, waxing dimmer, scarce reveals yon stately hall. All beneath its roof are sleeping, such a silence reigns around. I can hear the cold rain steeping, dripping roof and plashy ground. No, not all are wrapped in slumber. At yon chamber window stands one whose years are few in number. Sorrow marks his clasped hands. From the open casement bending, he surveys the murky skies. Dreary sighs his bosom rending, hot tears gushing from his eyes. Now that autumn's charms are dying, summer's glories long since gone, faded leaves on damp earth lying, hoary winter striding on. 'Tis no marvel skies are lowering, winds are moaning thus around, and cold rain with ceaseless pouring swells the stream and swamps the ground. But such wild, such bitter grieving fits not slender boys like thee. Those deep sighs should not be heaving breasts so young as thine must be. Life with thee is only springing, summer in thy pathway lies. Every day is nearer bringing June's bright flowers and glowing skies. Ah, he sees no brighter morrow. He is not too young to prove all the pain and all the sorrow that attend the steps of love. October 1846.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Severed and Gone by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Severed and gone so many years, and art thou still so dear to me, that throbbing heart and burning tears can witness how I clung to thee. I know that in the narrow tomb the form I loved was buried deep, and left in silence and in gloom to slumber out its dreamless sleep. I know the corner where it lies is but a dreary place of rest. The charnel moisture never dries from the dark flagstone o'er its breast, for there the sunbeams never shine, nor ever breathes the freshening air. But not for this do I repine, for my beloved is not there. Ah, no, I do not think of thee as festering there in slow decay. 'Tis this sole thought oppresses me, that thou art gone so far away, forever gone, and I by night have prayed within my silent room, that heaven would grant a burst of light its cheerless darkness to illume, and give thee to my longing eyes a moment as thou shinest now, fresh from thy mansion in the skies, with all its glory on thy brow. Wild was the wish, intense the gaze I fixed upon the murky air, expectant that a kindling blaze would strike my raptured vision there. A shape these human nerves would thrill, a majesty that might appall, did not thy earthly likeness still gleam softly, gladly through it all. False hope, vain prayer, it might not be that thou shouldst visit earth again. I called on heaven, I called on thee, and watched and waited, all in vain. Had I one treasured lock of thine, how it would bless these longing eyes! Or if thy pictured form were mine, what gold should rob me of the prize? A few cold words on yonder stone, a corpse as cold as they can be. Vain words and mouldering dust alone, can this be all that's left of thee? Ah, no, thy spirit lingers still where'er thy sunny smile was seen, there's less of darkness, less of chill on earth than if thou hadst not been. Thou breathest in my bosom yet, and dwellest in my beating heart, and while I cannot quite forget, thou, darling, canst not quite depart. Life seems more sweet that thou didst live, and men more true that thou wert one. Nothing is lost that thou didst give, nothing destroyed that thou hast done. April 1847.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Three Guides by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Nancy Beard. Spirit of earth, thy hand is chill. I felt its icy clasp, and shuddering I remember still that stony-hearted grasp. Thine eye bids love and joy depart. O turn its gaze from me. It presses down my shrinking heart. I will not walk with thee. Wisdom is mine, I've heard thee say, beneath my searching eye. All mist and darkness melt away, phantoms and fables fly. Before me truth can stand alone, the naked, solid truth. And man matured my worth will own, if I am shunned by youth. Firm is my tread, and sure though slow, my footsteps never slide. And he that follows me shall know I am the surest guide. Thy boast is vain, but were it true that thou couldst safely steer life's rough and devious pathway through, such guidance I should fear. How could I bear to walk for aye, with eyes to earthward prone, o'er trampled weeds and miry clay, and sand and flinty stone? Never the glorious view to greet of hill and dale and sky, to see that nature's charms are sweet, or feel that heaven is nigh? If in my heart arose a spring, a gush of thought divine, at once stagnation thou wouldst bring with that cold touch of thine. If, glancing up, I sought to snatch but one glimpse of the sky, my baffled gaze would only catch thy heartless, cold grey eye. If to the breezes wandering near I listened eagerly, and deemed an angel's tongue to hear that whispered hope to me, that heavenly music would be drowned in thy harsh, droning voice, nor inward thought, nor sight, nor sound might my sad soul rejoice. Dull is thine ear, unheard by thee, the still small voice of heaven. Thine eyes are dim and cannot see the helps that God has given. There is a bridge o'er every flood, which thou canst not perceive, a path through every tangled wood, but thou wilt not believe. Striving to make thy way by force, toil spent and bramble torn, that'll fell the tree that checks thy course, and burst through briar and thorn. And pausing by the river's side, poor reasoner, thou wilt deem, by casting pebbles in its tide, to cross the swelling stream. Right through the flinty rock thou'lt try thy toilsome way to bore, regardless of the pathway nigh that would conduct thee o'er. Not only art thou then unkind and freezing cold to me, but unbelieving, deaf and blind. I will not walk with thee. Spirit of pride, thy wings are strong, thine eyes like lightning shine. Ecstatic joys to thee belong, and powers almost divine. But 'tis a false, destructive blaze within those eyes I see. Turn hence their fascinating gaze, I will not follow thee. Coward and fool,
thou mayest reply, walk on the common sod. Go, trace with timid foot and eye the steps by others trod. 'Tis best the beaten path to keep, the ancient faith to hold, to pasture with thy fellow sheep, and lie within the fold. Cling to the earth, poor grovelling worm, 'tis not for thee to soar against the fury of the storm, amid the thunder's roar. There's glory in that daring strife, unknown, undreamt by thee. There's speechless rapture in the life of those who follow me. Yes, I have seen thy votaries oft, upheld by thee their guide, in strength and courage mount aloft the steepy mountain side. I've seen them stand against the sky, and gazing from below, beheld thy lightning in their eye, thy triumph on their brow. Oh, I have felt what glory then, what transport must be theirs, so far above their fellow men, above their toils and cares. Inhaling nature's purest breath, her riches round them spread, the wide expanse of earth beneath, heaven's glories overhead. But I have seen them helpless, dashed down to a bloody grave, and still thy ruthless eye has flashed, thy strong hand did not save. I've seen some o'er the mountain's brow, sustained a while by thee, o'er rocks of ice and hills of snow, bound, fearless, wild and free. Bold and exultant was their mien, while thou didst cheer them on. But evening fell, and then I ween their faithless guide was gone. Alas, how fared thy favourites then, lone, helpless, weary, cold? Did ever wanderer find again the path he left of old? Where is their glory, where the pride that swelled their hearts before? Where now the courage that defied the mightiest tempest's roar? What shall they do when night grows black, when angry storms arise? Who now will lead them to the track thou taughtest them to despise? Spirit of pride, it needs not this to make me shun thy wiles. Renounce thy triumph and thy bliss, thy honours and thy smiles. Bright as thou art, and bold and strong, that fierce glance wins not me, and I abhorred thy scoffing tongue, I will not follow thee. Spirit of faith, be thou my guide, O clasp my hand in thine, and let me never quit thy side, thy comforts are divine. Earth calls thee blind, misguided one, but who can show like thee forgotten things that have been done, and things that are to be? Secrets concealed from nature's ken, who like thee can declare, or who like thee to erring men God's holy will can bear? Pride scorns thee for thy lowly mien, but who like thee can rise above this toilsome, sordid scene, beyond the holy skies? Meek is thine eye and soft thy voice, but wondrous is thy might, to make the wretched soul rejoice, to give the simple light. And still to all that seek thy way this magic power is given, e'en while their footsteps press the clay, their souls ascend to heaven. Danger surrounds them, pain and woe their portion here must be, but only they that trust thee know what comfort dwells with thee, strength to sustain their drooping powers, and vigour to defend, thy pole star of my darkest hours, affliction's firmest friend. Day does not always mark our way, night's shadows oft appall, but lead me, and I cannot stray. Hold me, I shall not fall. Sustain me, I shall never faint, how rough soe'er may be. My upward road, nor moan nor plaint shall mar my trust in thee. Narrow the path by which we go, and oft it turns aside from pleasant meads where roses blow and peaceful waters glide, where flowery turf lies green and soft, and gentle gales are sweet, to where dark mountains frown aloft, hard rocks distress the feet. Deserts beyond lie bleak and bare, and keen winds round us blow, but if thy hand conducts me there, the way is right, I know. I have no wish to turn away, my spirit does not quail. How can it while I hear thee say, press forward and prevail? Even above the tempest's swell, I hear thy voice of love, of hope and peace I hear thee tell, and that blessed home above. Through pain and death I can rejoice, if but thy strength be mine. Earth hath no music like thy voice, life owns no joy like thine. Spirit of faith, I'll go with thee. Thou, if I hold thee fast, wilt guide, defend, and strengthen me, and bear me home at last. By thy help all things I can do, in thy strength all things bear. Teach me, for thou art just and true. Smile on me, thou art fair. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Farewell to Thee, but Not Farewell, by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Belinda McReynolds. Farewell to thee, but not farewell to all my fondest thoughts of thee. Within my heart they still shall dwell, and they shall cheer and comfort me. O beautiful and full of grace, if thou hadst never met mine eye, I had not dreamed a living face could fancied charms so far outvie. If I may ne'er behold again that form and face so dear to me, nor hear thy voice, still would I fain preserve for aye their memory. That voice, the magic of whose tone, could wake an echo in my breast, creating feelings that alone can make my tranced spirit blessed. That laughing eye, whose sunny beam my memory would not cherish less, and oh, that smile, whose joyous gleam no mortal language can express. Adieu, but let me cherish still the hope with which I cannot part. Contempt may wound and coldness chill, but still it lingers in my heart. And who can tell but heaven at last may answer all my 1,000 prayers, and bid the future pay the past with joy for anguish, smiles for tears. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Self-Communion by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org. The mist is resting on the hill. The smoke is hanging in the air. The very clouds are standing still. A breathless calm broods everywhere. Thou pilgrim, through this vale of tears, thou too, a little moment cease thy anxious toil and fluttering fears, and rest thee for a while in peace. I would, but time keeps working still, and moving on for good or ill. He will not rest nor stay. In pain or ease and smiles or tears, he still keeps adding to my years, and stealing life away. His footsteps in the ceaseless sound of yonder clock I seem to hear, that through the stillness so profound distinctly strikes the vacant ear. Forever striding on and on, he pauses not by night or day, and all my life will soon be gone, as these past years have slipped away. He took my childhood long ago, and then my early youth, and lo, he steals away my prime. I cannot see how fast it goes, but well my inward spirit knows the wasting power of time. Time steals thy moments, drinks thy breath, changes and wastes thy mortal frame. But though he gives the clay to death, he cannot touch the inward flame. Nay, though he steals thy years away, their memory is left thee still, and every month and every day leaves some effect of good or ill. The wise will find in memory's store a help for that which lies before, to guide their course aright. Then hush thy plaints and calm thy fears. Look back on these departed years, and say what meets thy sight. I see far back a helpless child, feeble and full of causeless fears, simple and easily beguiled to credit all it hears, more timid than the wild wood dove, yet trusting to another's care, and finding in protecting love its only refuge from despair, its only balm for every woe, the only bliss its soul can know, still hiding in its breast a tender heart too prone to weep, a love so earnest, strong and deep, it could not be expressed. Poor helpless thing, what can it do life's stormy cares and toils among? How tread this weary desert through that awes the brave and tires the strong? Where shall it centre so much trust? Where truth maintains so little sway, where seeming fruit is bitter dust, and kisses oft to death betray? How oft must sin and falsehood grieve a heart so ready to believe, and willing to admire, with strength so feeble, fears so strong, amid this selfish, bustling throng? How will it faint and tire? That tender love so warm and deep, how can it flourish here below? What bitter floods of tears must steep the stony soil where it would grow? O earth, a rocky breast is thine, a hard soil and a cruel clime, where tender plants must droop and pine, or alter with transforming time. That soul that clings to sympathy, as ivy clasps the forest tree, how can it stand alone? That heart so prone to overflow, e'en at the thought of others' woe, how will it bear its own? How, if a sparrow's death can wring such bitter tear floods from the eye, will it behold the suffering of struggling, lost humanity? The torturing pain, the pining grief, the sin-degraded misery, the anguish that defies relief. Look back again, what dost thou see? I see one kneeling on the sod, with infant hands upraised to heaven, a young heart feeling after God, oft baffled, never backward driven. Mistaken oft and oft astray, it strives to find the narrow way, but gropes and toils alone. That inner life of strife and tears, of kindling hopes and lowering fears, to none but God is known. 'Tis better thus, for man would scorn those childish prayers, those artless cries, that darkling spirit tossed and torn, but God will not despise. We may regret such waste of tears, such darkly toiling misery, such wildering doubts and harrowing fears, where joy and thankfulness should be. But wait, and heaven will send relief. Let patience have her perfect work. Lo, strength and wisdom spring from grief, and joys behind afflictions lurk. It asked for light, and it was heard. God grants that struggling soul repose, and guided by his holy word, it wiser than its teachers grows. It gains the upward path at length, and passes on from strength to strength, leaning on heaven the while. Night's shades departing one by one, it sees at last the rising sun, and feels his cheering smile. In all its darkness and distress, for light it sought, to God it cried, and through the pathless wilderness he was its comfort and its guide. So it was, and so will it be. Thy God will guide and strengthen thee. His goodness cannot fail. The sun that on thy morning rose will light thee to the evening's close, whatever storms assail. God alters not, but time on me a wide and wondrous change is wrought. And in these parted years I see cause for grave care and saddening thought. I see that time and toil and truth an inward hardness can impart, can freeze the generous blood of youth, and steel full fast the tender heart. Bless God for that divine decree, that hardness comes with misery, and suffering deadens pain, that at the frequent sight of woe e'en pity's tears forget to flow, if reason still remain. Reason with conscience by her side, but gathers strength from toil and truth, and she will prove a surer guide than those sweet instincts of our youth. Thou that hast known such anguish so in weeping where thou couldst not bless, canst thou that softness so deplore, that suffering shrinking tenderness? Thou that hast felt what cankering care a loving heart is doomed to bear, say, how canst thou regret that fires unfed must fall away? Long droughts can dry the softest clay, and cold will cold beget. Nay, but 'tis hard to feel that chill come creeping o'er the shuddering heart. Love may be full of pain, but still 'tis sad to see it so depart, to watch that fire whose genial glow was formed to comfort and to cheer, for want of fuel fading so, sinking to embers dull and drear, to see the soft soil turn to stone for lack of kindly showers, to see those yearnings of the breast, pining to bless and to be blessed, drop withered, frozen one by one, till centered in itself alone it wastes its blighted powers. Oh, I have known a wondrous joy in early friendship's pure delight, a genial bliss that could not cloy my sun by day, my moon by night. Absence indeed was sore distress, and thought of death was anguish keen, and there was cruel bitterness when jarring discords rose between. And sometimes it was grief to know my fondness was but half returned. But this was nothing to the woe with which another truth was learned, that I must check or nurse apart full many an impulse of the heart, and many a darling thought. What my soul worshipped, sought, and prized was slighted, questioned, or despised. This pained me more than aught, and as my love the warmer glowed, the deeper would that anguish sink, that this dark stream between us flowed, though both stood bending o'er its brink, until at last I learned to bear a colder heart within my breast, to share such thoughts as I could share, and calmly keep the rest. I saw that they were sundered now, the trees that at the root were one. They yet might mingle leaf and bough, but still the stems must stand alone. Oh, love is sweet of every kind. 'Tis sweet the helpless to befriend, to watch the young unfolding mind, to guide, to shelter, and defend, to lavish tender toil and care, and ask for nothing back again, but that our smiles a blessing bear, and all our toil be not in vain. And sweeter far than words can tell their love whose ardent bosoms swell with thoughts they need not hide, where fortune frowns not on their joy, and prudence seeks not to destroy, nor reason to deride, whose love may freely gush and flow, unchecked, unchilled by doubt or fear, for in their inmost hearts they know it is not vainly nourished there. They know that in a kindred breast their long desires have found a home, where heart and soul may kindly rest, weary and lone no more to roam. Their dreams of bliss were not in vain. As they love, they are loved again, and they can bless as they are blessed. Oh, vainly might I seek to show the joys from happy love that flow. The warmest words are all too cold the secret transports to unfold, of simplest words or softest sigh, or from the glancing of an eye, to say what rapture beams. One look that bids our fears depart, and well assures the trusting heart. It beats not in the world alone, such speechless rapture I have known, but only in my dreams. My life has been a morning sky, where hope her rainbow glories cast, O kindling vapours far and nigh, and if the colours faded fast, ere one bright hue had died away, another o'er its ashes gleamed, and if the lower clouds were grey, the mists above more brightly beamed. But not for long. At length, behold, those tints less warm, less radiant grew, till but one speck of bally gold glimmered through clouds of saddening hue. And I am calmly waiting now to see that also pass away, and leave above the dark hill's brow a rayless arch of sombre grey. So must it fare with all thy race, who seek in earthly things their joy. So fading hopes, lost hopes shall chase, till disappointment all destroy. But they that fix their hopes on high shall in the blue refulgent sky, the sun's transcendent light, behold a purer, deeper glow than these uncertain gleams can show, however fair or bright. O weak of heart, why thus deplore that truth will fancy's dreams destroy? Did I not tell thee years before, life was for labour, not for joy? Cease, selfish spirit, to repine. O thine own ills no longer grieve. Lo, there are sufferings worse than thine, which thou mayst labour to relieve. If time indeed too swiftly flies, gird on thine armour, haste, arise. For thou hast much to do, to lighten woe, to trample sin, and foes without and foes within to combat and subdue. Earth hath too much of sin and pain, the bitter cup, the binding chain. Dost thou indeed lament? Let not thy weary spirit sink, but strive, not by one drop or link the evil to augment. Strive rather thou by peace and joy, the bitter poison to destroy, the tyrant chain to break. O strive, and if thy strength be small, strive yet the more and spend it all, for love and wisdom's sake. O I have striven both hard and long, but many are my foes and strong. My gains are light, my progress slow, for hard's the way I have to go. And my worst enemies I know are these within my breast. And it is hard to toil for aye, through sultry noon and twilight grey, to toil and never rest. There is a rest beyond the grave, a lasting rest from pain and sin, where dwell the faithful and the brave, but they must strive who seek to win. Show me that rest, I ask no more. O drive these misty doubts away, and let me see that sunny shore, however far away. However wide this rolling sea, however wild my passage be, howe'er my bark be tempest-tossed, may it but reach that haven fair, may I but land and wander there, with those that I have loved and lost. With such a glorious hope in view, I'll gladly toil and suffer too. Rest without toil I would not ask. I would not shun the hardest task. Toil is my glory, grief my gain, if God's approval they obtain. Could I but hear my Saviour say, I know thy patience and thy love. How hast thou held the narrow way, for my sake laboured night and day, and watched and striven with them that strove, and still hast borne and didst not faint. Oh, this would be reward indeed. Press forward then without complaint, labour and love, and such shall be thy meed. April 17, 1848. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Narrow Way by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox by Sel Penna. Believe not those who say the upward path is smooth, lest thou should stumble in the way, and faint before the truth. It is the only road unto the realms of joy, but he who seeks that blessed abode must all his powers employ. Bright hopes and pure delights upon his course may beam, and there, amid the sternest heights, the sweetest flowerets gleam. On all her breezes borne, earth yields no scents like those, but he that dares not grasp the thorn should never crave the rose. Arm thee for the fight, cast useless loads away, watch through the darkest hours of night, toil through the hottest day. Crush pride into the dust, or thou must needs be slack.
and trample down rebellious lust, or it will hold thee back. Seek not thy honor here, waive pleasure and renown, the world's dread scoff, undaunted bear, and face its deadliest frown. To labor and to love, to pardon and endure, to lift thy heart to God above, and keep thy conscience pure. Be this thy constant aim, thy hope, thy chief delight. What matter who should whisper blame, or who should scorn or slight? What matter if thy God approve, and if within thy breast thou feel the comfort of his love, the earnest of his rest? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Fragment by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Yes, I will take a cheerful tone, and feign to share their heartless glee, but I would rather weep alone than laugh amid their revelry. January 26th, 1849.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Last Lines by Anne Brontë. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. I hope that with the brave and strong my portioned task might lie, to toil amid the busy throng with purpose pure and high. But God has fixed another part, and he has fixed it well. I said so with my bleeding heart when first the anguish fell. A dreadful darkness closes in on my bewildered mind. Oh, let me suffer and not sin, be tortured yet resigned. Shall I with joy thy blessings share, and not endure their loss? Or hope the martyr's crown to wear, and cast away the cross? Thou, God, hast taken our delight, our treasured hope away. Thou bidst us now weep through the night, and sorrow through the day. These weary hours will not be lost, these days of misery, these nights of darkness, anguish tossed, can I but turn to thee. Weak and weary though I lie, crushed with sorrow, worn with pain, I may lift to heaven mine eye, and strive to labor not in vain. That inward strife against the sins that ever wait on suffering, to strike whatever first begins, each ill that would corruption bring. That secret labor to sustain, with humble patience every blow, to gather fortitude from pain, and hope and holiness from woe. Thus let me serve thee from my heart, whate'er may be my written fate, whether thus early to depart, or yet a while to wait. If thou shouldst bring me back to life, more humbled I should be, more wise, more strengthened for the strife, more apt to lean on thee. Should death be standing at the gate, thus should I keep my vow. But, Lord, whatever be my fate, oh, let me serve thee now. Finished January 28th, 1849. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. End of the complete poems of Anne Brontë.